We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.
Hush now, city kids, gather round for other myths. Hush now, city kids. When it came to me after so long, I didn't have no choices in the streets where I was from. When I think about the pain, I didn't have no choices. I took what I had sworn. Hush now, city kids, gather round for urban myths. Hush now, city kids. But you know, they wouldn't let you have it any other way.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters. It is the Fans Forum. Good evening to George, Darren, Kevin, Ian, Spenny, Alan, Barry, and you watching at home. The season has ended. That's it. 7th place finish for Newcastle United. All kinds of records beaten once again by Eddie Howe and the boys. And just a little wait now to see what happens in the FA Cup final, to see whether European football has been achieved. And great news. I guess for Newcastle fans, if we are going to Europe, it's a chance for us to do it 2 years in a row, which is the first time we'll have done that again for 20 odd years. But we'll look back at the season next week. What I want to do tonight really is just look back on the last game of the season first of all, George, and a 4-2 win at Brentford. An enjoyable game, a typical end of season game. Goals galore, bit of controversy in there. A penalty that should have been given that wasn't given. Ivan Toney, a former player, trying to kick 7 bells out of Bruno. Bruno not reacting, and Bruno having one of his best games in a black and white shirt this season with 2 assists and a goal to boot as well. But Alexander Isak as well hitting the 25 mark in goals scored this season, finishing 3rd in the race for the Golden Boot. So all in all, a great end of the season with a big win and cementing 7th place, George.
Well, and showing that they've still got some bottle for me, because when it got to 3-2, it could have gone awfully funny, especially when they had a go at Pope. How that bloke didn't get sent off for he did to Pope, I don't know, but never mind. I don't want to start talking about officials when I'm talking about football, but it's funny how you get dragged into officials. I mean, some of the decisions they're seeing at the moment are just criminal, and that penalty was stonewall. I mean, the stupid thing is they make fools of themselves by saying, "Oh well, the Brentford player wasn't even in the box." Well, it's not the Brentford player that got fouled; it was Lewis Hall. So it just brilliant end of the season. It looked like it was going to be a cricket score at one time because they just couldn't handle it. And every time Isak got the ball, the Brentford defenders were running this way and that way, and a lot of the time sitting on their backsides because they couldn't keep up with them. It was brilliant, but others did it as well. Murphy came out of his shell and started to cross the ball properly for a change instead of hitting it to the other corner flag and all that sort of thing. Lots of very positives and in the way it went on. The more I see of young Lewis Hall, the more I think fullback, really? Yeah, I see a player that could be very dangerous, slightly further forward than fullback. But never mind, he's doing the job and doing it well, as for me. And barely out of his teenage. This is incredible. Is he out of his teenage? I'm not sure. Augurs well for the future. And some of the old hands coming back. Joe Linton was back. Should have had at least one goal, if not two. But never mind. He's back and doing what he does well. And the rest did their job. And I've got to say, lads, if Pope had played at Manchester United on Wednesday night, we would have won that game. Because two of those goals Pope would have saved. I mean, he made two cracking saves yesterday that I don't think Dubravka would have seen. There's a stat around at the moment, and I don't know who's drawn it up, but on his right side, Dubravka hasn't saved a shot since he come back into the goal. On his right side, yes.
Where's that from, George? I'll have to find that.
Ask O'Neill. I
will do, yeah.
That's where it came from.
That's incredible.
And but it just, the other thing is the spirits there still, even after Pope got well and truly got at, when he got up and the Brentford fans were having a go at him, he had the good sense to take it all in good part and just tell them what the score was. He put his hands up and told them what the score was. Well, what a great riposte, and that says something about the spirit of the side. Bruno is the player for me. More stats about him: most yards run of any midfielder in the Premiership. Most fouled midfield player in the Premiership, followed by Anthony Gordon. I mean, it just incredible stats. And on top of that, smile on his face again. I never really doubt that it would come back, because all the doomsayers in London who want them transferred to Arsenal with Isaac and all this, they can forget about it. He's well and truly ensconced as a Geordie, and he's not going anywhere. So yeah, it was good, exciting. When they got the two goals back, a bit too exciting in one way. In fact, when the second goal back in, my favourite cushion got pelted across the room. I mean, Mr. James' park cushion got pelted across the room. Oh, bless it. Good job I'm on my own, because Marjorie would have seen us. But what a way to finish the season. It's just a little pity that they couldn't have done that against Bournemouth at St James's. That would be a nice way to finish the home season. But all in all, thinking about all the things they've had to put up with, the fact they've had a very tough, unlucky European Cup session, because really PSG should never have got through that one, and horrendous injury list. It has been, whatever measure you use, it's been a successful season. And I'm looking forward to Manchester City doing a favour by clouting their near neighbours at Wembley in the cup final, and just putting the icing on the cake for us. That would be absolutely brilliant. But first time in Premiership that we've topped them. Not that that's significant to many people. It's significant to me. I've got to say, when you start doing the firsts, the one thing we've got to get used to is what we got used to yesterday, winning away from home. That's fans and team. We really need to get into the habit of saying we're going to win this. If we'd had that attitude on Wednesday, Manchester United wouldn't have had a prayer. But it didn't work on Wednesday. It did on Saturday, because Sunday rather, because they'd had time to think about it and how it had time to work with them. But no, great way to end the season. Couldn't have been happier. It was there was so much positive about it amongst the younger players and the older players. And bear in mind, we're playing with a back five, which are fairly new to each other. This isn't the old hands. This isn't Shaw and Botman and Lascelles. It's a whole new group of people, and you would never guess. And once again, Dan Burn shows where he's best and what he's best at. So yeah, great way to end it. And let's have some more next year, lads. Let's have some more next year.
Darren, end of the season, mate. 4-2 win, 3-0 up in the first half. Looked like it could have been a 7 or an 8. Brentford, though, they're no mugs. They haven't had the greatest of seasons, but I still think Thomas Frank's done a great job on limited resources. But they did make a bit of a fight of it. 2 good goals. One of them was spectacular, it has to be said. I don't think Pope could have done anything about either of them. And then ultimately another goal for Newcastle, and that was it. But a 4-2 win away from home. Got our away form back on track.
Yeah, when I couldn't get the match on me Fire Stick, but when I see 1-0 and 2-0, 3-0, what's going on? And then they score 1, they score 2, and it's gonna happen again, draw or lose. But we got another goal or 1. Yes, there were some good performances, but we watched the goals. You can see the error in our defence. Like Dan Burn for the second goal went missing. I like Dan Burn, but if we want to go forward next season, we need to get a better centre half and younger centre half, because back four aging. Shaw, I like Shaw. He's done a fantastic job for this season and last season. But again, he's 30. He's 33 or so, 30. They're getting old, and the other Premiership clubs are going to get faster forwards and all that. I just think you look at our defence, the Asian back four. Like you look at Man U, we didn't have a leader in the back four against Man U. We're going to beat against them. We need leadership. We had none of that. Yes, Dan Burn's captain, but to me, he just doesn't cut the mustard. And like Shaw, I like him again, but he can be come on the sub. Trippier, does he want to go or let him go? But you need to get younger and hungrier defenders who wants to keep clean sheets. And Murphy, yes, he played good. Yes, he scored a goal, but against Man U, again, they're no one. He doesn't cost the mustard. He's not good enough for the Premiership for Newcastle United. Murphy is not good enough. Ellie Anderson, you need to go on loan. Again, another one for me who doesn't. Everybody's Jody Man. I can't see him. I've watched him a few times. It's just I like that he tries when he comes on, but I just don't think he can be that next level we want. But Bruno played fantastic yesterday, and Isaac on a day were all unbeatable. But like against Man U, we need the leadership in the midfield, in the back four. We had none of that against Man U. We should have won that. How we wouldn't have won that would be on me. But I'm happy that we got the 3 points yesterday. We need a favour of Man City. Hope we'll get it. If we don't. I'm not too fussed about it if we don't get it, but it'd be nice if we did. But going forward, we need to get rid of about 4 or 5 players, and you get 4 or 5 players in, and that's my opinion.
Yeah, good result yesterday, mate. Did you manage to see it, or were you busy managing your teams in the USA?
Bit of both, and I was sitting watching it. I thought we got lucky in the first moments of the game with that offside decision, because that was very tight. I thought we got a little bit exposed down that side from what I saw. But hey, we'll take the decision. VAR actually was switched on, but hey, the decisions go for you. I think once that occurred, it kind of woke us up a little bit. Then we started to try and control the game. Agree with George. I thought Bruno grew in the game. He was absolutely fantastic. And with the miles covered and the most fouls, whatever. But like we've always said, he wants to get on the ball and play, and he wants to control and dictate. The ball for the first goal for Harvey Barnes was sublime. Anybody would, if you don't score that, come on. If Joe Linton was there, then it probably would have hit the crossbar or put it into the stand. But anyway, outside of Joe Linton, no. But it was a brilliant ball, and even we profited from their mistake. Who the defender's trying to chest the ball down, and he nutmegs himself. I don't know how he done that. That's a new bit of skill for me. In a brilliant ball by Isaac, and Murphy again. It's a tap in. But the bigger, outside of the goals and the free flowing stuff, the big disappointment with me, not agree with Darren essentially, but it's the long ball at the top. And I'm not going to blame, but I'll be critical of. I think Fabi Shaw should do better when he went for the first ball, for their second goal especially. I thought the recovery run was lazy. Then that drags Dan Burn across, which allows space. 1 second. Air show going on above us. Then that allows space, and then that isolates Hall, and then there's a big massive space in between the two. So but it's a brilliant finish. You can't knock that. But at the same time, that's just how it transpired. But overall, we're grabbed. It was a bit nervy, obviously. 3-2, anything can happen at that point. But again, to have the professionalism, essentially within the game, because like George said again with the Nick Pope scenario, and I thought that was brilliant. Just laugh at them. You play football with your feet, you don't get involved in all of that sort of stuff. So I think they showed a bit of character to get back into the game. Then we just controlled it. It could have been more, but again, obviously it wasn't. But again, I'm more than happy with a 4-2 away victory on the last day of the season. If we get European football, we'll get European football. I think we deserve that. I think we've earned the right to do that. From where we were, what's happened, we all know the scenarios and the situations. So, for me, it's well deserved. I think I predicted 6th or 7th, somewhere around in that. And if we got from where we were at Christmas, and Eddie Howe's done an absolutely amazing job, because I was one here to question whether he could get this team higher up the division and galvanise the team moving forward, and he has. He's got them into a position where we'll be playing potential European football next year. So that, kudos to him and his staff. A great result, positive. Unfortunately, it's over. So we're going to have to sit and talk about something different about the Euros, or who knows what else. But looking forward to the next year, next season, and see what happens across the transfer window with players bringing in. Agree with Darren. Wouldn't put any Elliot Anderson on loan, but again, I would bring going to have at least 3 or 4 good quality players coming in to take us to that next level. Because I looked at it, we were 4th in goals scored, 4th in, but we had one of the best goal differences, like top 4 in goal differences. But the problem what we had this year was our losses, obviously away from home. That's the big thing. I think what they need to home in on and re-evaluate moving forward, and how can we be more solid away from home and win ugly 1-0s, or just go to like a Luton, for argument's sake. Unfortunately, they got relegated, but go to Luton and get a 1-0 win, or fight whatever it is somewhere. Just get a scrappy one like a Man City do, and be winners. That's what winners do. They don't just roll over and get whacked 3 or 4. They go some place, the horrible place, and Stoke on a Tuesday night, the old phrase, and get a win. That's what we have to have that mentality going and do for next season, in my opinion. So yeah, great end of the season. Looking forward to next season already, and let's see what the future holds.
Good evening, my friend. Here he is.
Evening.
How are you, Ian? What was your take?
Right.
You obviously went to Manchester United, didn't you? You didn't go to Brentford. So
Yeah.
I just get a quick opinion on the Man United game from you, really, before you talk about Brentford. The 20 shots on goal. I just felt it was a bit of an overreaction on social media, mate. I thought we give it a go, mate. We give it a go.
Massive. I think people's. Obviously, it was a different game. I've not actually brought myself to watch that game again. Usually, when I go to a match, I watch it back, but I've not watched that one back because I sickened myself. But yeah, I thought we played them off the park, to be honest. But we just gave them 3 goals, defensive errors, and frailty. But we're actually, for me, standing there, we were the better team, and we were definitely the better fans. Like, they were awful, god awful. Yeah, want to forget really more than anything. It was good couple of days in Manchester though. Had a good time down there. I'm still recovering now, so but yeah, it was a good fun. But I thought we were, like you say, 20 chances. We were unlucky not to come away with something, but we didn't help ourselves defensively. Brentford, I think we did at Brentford what we didn't do at Man United, which was finish. The quality players stood up. Isak I thought was excellent. You know, he was back to what Isak does. That little ball through from Bruno where Isak just lets the ball run and then just hits it. Like, that's classic Isak for me. Like, you're never going to miss that. The cross, again, he had the vision to not just, you know, go for a, you know, 40% chance, which, you know, he could have just easily gone on and shot, but he squared the ball, perfect pinpoint pass, and Murphy put it away. I thought he was brilliant. Bruno's best player on the park, and Bruno ran it. You know, I thought again, like Kev said, maybe the defensive side of things left a little bit to be desired. But I think Pope coming back in, I don't know whether I was seeing it because I wanted to see it or seeing it because it was true. But for me, I personally feel so much more confident when he's in there. He comes and gets the ball. He doesn't go forward to go backwards, to go forwards, to go backwards, to stand in no man's land and watch the ball go past him, which is what I think Dubravka, unfortunately, I don't remember him being that bad in years gone by, but I think that's something now that's in his game, and Pope fills me, and I think the defence with a lot more confidence. And I thought that was pretty visible to be seen. All in all, good performance. My backside started twitching a little bit when they started scoring, and then Man United scored as well. But that was soon put to bed. So yeah, really, really happy, buzzing. Couldn't have asked for more. If you think about this a couple of months ago, if someone had said that, you know, that we'd get seventh, you'd have bit their hand off. So no, I think they've done really well considering the injuries, considering the season, the Tonali ban, everything put together. I think that's a good result. And I think I said sixth, maybe 6th or 7th at the start of the season. So I think we all were around there. So have you got it all recorded? I bet you have your little.
The shows are all in the playlist, so we could go back and test out what people have said.
Have a look back.
I might do that.
Good on that, Steve.
I'll do that before next week, lads. Leave it with us.
Yeah.
Go on. And the Brentford game, good result, good end of the season. And, you know, from our perspective, Ian, it's difficult. You know, you have a 1-1 draw against Brighton. You get beat off Manchester United in a game where you really wanted to win it. But then you go to Brentford. It would have been easy to go down there and roll over with Ivan Toney waiting for us, but we didn't. And we looked great in the first half. Second half, obviously, tired a little bit again. But it was a good win yesterday.
Excellent win, yeah. And I don't think we need to say any more than that. It was a professional performance. We did what we had to do. And again, like what you focused on before, Bruno in the bucket hat, you can't write it. He's going nowhere. If he goes anywhere, I'll eat that bucket hat. You know what I mean? So yeah, that'll do for me. Put Spenny on anyway.
Spenny, good evening, mate. Good to see you. What's your views on the Brentford game?
We pissed off. We just tore them apart, like George said. They were like playing Sheffield United. The pissed off. Just as good as them. Tony should have been sent off.
Yeah.
He should have had a penalty.
Yeah.
Izzy should have had a hat-trick because he missed the other two. And the one he scored was harder than the one he missed. For me.
Yeah.
Great support down there by the away fans. So look brilliant here for the lads on the videos I've seen anyway on the boats and that. Brilliant as always. Pope, which I'm just can't get my head around why they didn't play that team, Man United. Maybe one was not fit, but we could, like George and the little lads have said, well, made a difference with Pope in goal. But a win's a win, and we end up at 7th, which is pretty good considering we've had 9 players out over 20 games this season, and all 9 first-team players. So any other team in that league would have suffered as much as what we did. And then probably getting rid of the manager by the end of the season because of it. So we stuck by Eddie, and Eddie's the right man for the job for me. Well done, lads.
Alan, first of all, is the cat okay?
From Wednesday.
From the Manchester United game, yeah. I mean, hopefully it's been fed and watered. And the RSPCA haven't been called to your house. But joking
I
aside,
said the lads in the private chat, Steve, it's wearing a Man City top now. My wife's down in the Man City top, so it doesn't get through out. But
what did you make of the last two games, mate? I bet you were going mad against Man United.
I was up. The thing about it, lads, and everybody in the chat is like George and everybody. I've known disappointments for decades now, and George was spot on. Next season, we've got to have the mentality. As soon as we go over the Tyne Bridge, we've got to have this winning mentality. It was great to see Joelinton back. Massive, massive chance from the start. Physicality in midfield. Pope, great. Two quality players coming in. Great result. I was going to say about the season ending, Steve, but you're going to do that next week. I thought it was a penalty. The reason they said on Sky this morning, lads, I don't know if anybody saw Ref Watch, was that he got clipped slightly outside the box, but the majority of his body was in the box, and then he got clipped again. Now, the referee's point of view, they had to go to VAR to check it, and that was the initial incident was outside the box, but he still got fouled in the box as well, and it's a penalty.
But even
we had one of them go against us, didn't we, earlier in the season?
Even the first one, Alan, his standing foot was in the box.
That's right, George. And they were saying that just because it was some of his body was outside the box, it wasn't a penalty, and I just couldn't believe that. A reason why it wasn't given a penalty.
Weird for the goal that got disallowed as well, really, Alan. I wasn't with the offside because the line was crooked. What they did on the wasn't it?
Crooked as them.
So it was great, lads. I agree sometimes with Darren, other times I don't. I think Anderson deserves a run in the team, lads. I'm not giving up on him. Murphy is a good squad player. The enthusiasm that lad shows. He's not a first team regular. He's a good squad player. Longstaff the same. Going forward, I agree with Darren on that. These players, they like to, a lot of questions in the chat on about Dummett and Ritchie. It's regarding Europe, lads. Apparently, you've got to have so many people homegrown in your squad, and if you don't have that, you kind of class them in the squad. They appear in Europe, so it's like having you might even have them in the squad, but if they're not there and you get rid of them, you can get players in. But if they're not homegrown, they cannot be counted in the squad going forward in Europe. Just a lot of the comments in this chat are saying about the likes of Dummett and Ritchie, and that's how Eddie Howe's got the dilemma to actually put them in the squad and extend their contracts. Going forward, really, they should be gone this summer. It'll be interesting to know if that happens. Isaac was immense. That goal, I've watched it 3 or 4 times now, Steve, against Brentford. The more I see it, the more great it is. And, just class players, great result. I must admit, the effing blinding was going on when the second Brentford goal went in, and then I heard Man U had scored. I thought, here we go again. We're going to blow our chance at even a little bit of Europe. But 7th place is very, very respectable for what's went on this season, lads. Have you ever known a roller coaster season like this? I haven't since we blew the title, really. I think this week just shows you what it's been like. Disappointing Brentford, my eyes, devastation on Wednesday, and then Sunday, back on a high, brilliant. Going down to bookies, collect your winnings was great to do that for a change. So yes, all in all, a great result, respectable end. I did project 7th in January, Steve, but I wanted top 4 to start. So in one way, I'm disappointed. But when you look at the league table, lads, there's 5 teams and there's only 8 points separating them. And every one of us could turn around and say, well, we dropped points against Luton, we dropped points against Forest, Bournemouth, were the games that we lost it. But all the other teams will be saying exactly the same. So all in all, respectable end of the season. And I'm already, like Kevin said, looking forward and the lads to next season and who we're by. But the main thing is don't sell any stars, because what we've touched on the last few days, If the club went out and said, right, we've had an offer for Bruno for 100 million, it's still up to the player if he wants to go, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, they might release the clause, but unless he actually wants to go, surely he's got the right to say, no, I don't want to go. So at the end of the day, don't sell any more stars, because we've got to build from there. Sell the other players, the fringe players like Wilson and Miggy and players like that, but please, God, don't do the 1980s all over again. I couldn't stand that, where they spin the yarn like Gaza Waddle, that it's going to go back into the team. So all I've got to say is great ending to this season. I'll let Barry get on. Sorry, I'm rabbiting.
Yeah. I've got to be honest, if they do sell a player this time, the money will go back into the squad. It's not like
That's
the old
the
days.
difference, Steve. I must admit, it will.
It's not the old days. And Newcastle have got to stay within FFP, and I'm sure that we'll be talking about FFP quite a bit through the summer. But ultimately, they just need to play the game, play the rules, and make sure they do everything by the book. And that's what the Australian trip's about. We'll cover that after the break and after Barry. But the Australian trip's about commercial revenue, about broadening your fans, your fan participation, if you like. But yeah, look, it's keeping on the right side of FFP, and we have to do what we've got to do that. And if it means selling a star player, maybe he's not this summer, but the summer after or the summer after, to bring in another couple of players, that's what we'll have to do. But we'll wait and see. Barry, Brentford before the ads. What's your take on the Brentford game?
Yeah, a great way to end the season. I think they performed well. Considering we're the team that we've got out still missing however many top first choice players. Isaac, I still don't think he's anywhere near fit, but he's getting there. He looked a lot better than he has been. I was gutted Tino wasn't. Obviously, Tino's now picked up an injury, because I was getting used to watching him and Hall together. And I think they were looking like we've talked about so many times about the future fullback pairing for the team, and they were starting to look that way. Great to see Pope back. I think it just points out how much better he is than Dubravka. But we now need to look at somebody to challenge Pope and somebody of his level to come in as a number 2. And I've read, obviously, these comments that people keep saying, you can't have 2 goalkeepers who are the same ability, because one of them will want to leave because he's not getting games. I'm thinking, well, why? If you rotate them properly and you actually put them in and make them battle it out between them. So I know they said it on the Bretty show, didn't they, Steve, when they were talking about Shilton and Clements and stuff, and saying, well, that's one of the few times it's worked. I don't see why we can't. Why do we have to have an inferior number 2? But hopefully they'll fix that over the summer. But yeah, I disagree with some of the stuff Darren said, certainly about Anderson. I can understand what he said about Murphy. With Murphy, I would look at the fact of, if we were challenging for the title, would Murphy get in the squad of somebody like Man City? No, he wouldn't. No. I think Anderson is only going to get better and better and better. I think he's improving every time he plays, or he looks as though he's getting better each time he plays. And I'm just interested to see how high the guy goes. I think disagree with Alan's comments about Richie and Dummett. I think they've got to go. It's like, how are you? There's plenty of young ones.
It's not me. I agree with you, Barry.
No, it's we've got Alex Murphy, we've got the Mileys, there's more than one Miley waiting to come through. Joe White, you've got an abundance of young'uns now who are coming through who should be in the squad. We've got too many hangers on. I think one of the things Darren did say, I think there's more than 5 need to go. I think it needs to be a damn good clear out, because there's a lot of them who aren't capable of winning the league. If we put it that way, we've got some.
Absolutely.
There's not that many in there. I mean, the Man U game, it was embarrassing at times. We were so desperate, but we just don't seem to have that mentality to get over the line. I was over the moon with the game against them at the weekend, because it looked as though that passion was back in the team and we were going for it. I agree with what Darren said. There's no captain in the team. I know Trippier, you would class him as the captain, but without him, who else is there? In my sense of like the old-fashioned captain who would be bellowing at them, who would be shouting orders at them, who would be organising them. I don't see one player currently in that team, apart from Trips, who I don't think will be there next season. I think he'll go. I can't see who else would do it. I know Byrne does it a little
Byrne's
bit.
done well.
But he doesn't do it with players further up the field. You know what I mean? He's not a Gary Speed. He's not that type of boisterous character. I think that's somebody we need to bring into the team to help organise it. But
Because he can't shout from that far back.
I don't know. Just lean forward a little bit and just balance to the front.
Bodyford, being Devil's advocate, would you give it to Bruno for next season?
I don't think Bruno would organise them all.
I don't think I don't think Bruno's captain material.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff we'll discuss through the summer. I just want to say that if you're a season ticket holder, there is an email that's just come out to me. So I'm sure other season ticket holders will be getting this soon. But they've given us a code to be able to watch the game against Spurs and against the Australian team. So we've got season ticket holders and members will be able to watch both games for free this week, which is fantastic. So that's a great gesture on behalf of Newcastle United, an end of season treat for us. So the Spurs game, 7:45 kickoff British summertime, Wednesday night, and then the A-League All-Star game, Friday the 24th of May at 5:05. Both games are going to be broadcast for a fee across the world, both season ticket holders and members. It looks as if we're going to get them for free. I'll read that email properly during the ads, but we will have a quick ad break and then we will be back after this. A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins, telephone 0800 25 45 25 3, email inquiries at skipsandbins.com, website skipsandbins.com, easy contract free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces, handmade in Cumbria. Their website, mrvickies.co.uk. Telephone 01768 210 102 or email info@mrvickies.co.uk. Thanks to United Group Travel. There are no strangers on our tours, just friends you haven't met yet. Their website, unitedgrouptravel.com. Email beverly.ugtl@gmail.com. Telephone 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Thanks to Media Arts for the technical side of things. And you can also find us as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or other podcast providers. You can subscribe to the channel by hitting the subscribe button underneath this video. Hit the all notifications bell so you don't miss a show. Hit the thumb up to like the channel and click share to your social media. If you want to join the channel, then click join for as little as $1.99 a month. If you want to become a member for a one-off £25 payment, email john@nufcmatters.com or go to membership at the website nufcmatters.com. If you've got a smartphone, hold your camera over the QR code and it'll take you straight there. We also help the food bank on this channel. Go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk to the matchday bucket and you can leave a virtual donation today. And don't forget, the end of season 2 is 20th of July. Super Matt, Gibbo, George, and the Long Sands are raising money for Dementia Matters. Tickets are a tenner from nufcmatters.com or newcastlelegends.com. And tickets are selling fast for that, so don't miss out. And if you can't go, but you want to donate, just buy a ticket. It's a tenner. All proceeds are going to the cause. And Rob Lee and John Gibson will be at the City Hall. The O2, of course, now, Friday the 2nd of August. Tickets on sale now from £15. Ticketmaster.co.uk is your place to get your tickets for that. It will be a great night that with Gibbo and Rob Lee. Okay, as always, Darren getting it in the neck. What negative comments from with regards to Byrne? He's been great at centre-half. Murphy's a great squad player. Trippier's recovering from a lot of time off this season. We've got Europe. As long as the FA Cup results goes our way, we've got to be happy. Tell who goes to games home and away from his base in London, mate. I've got to agree with you, Darren.
Darren's is always negative these days. He's took over Alan's mantle this season. Certainly has.
I'm not. I'm saying what the other's opinion. If we want to go forward,
you are.
We need better centre halves. And Dan Burns 33, 34. Next season he's getting older.
He's 30. He's 30. He's 30. He'll be 32 this year, I think it is. And Dan Burns, I agree. Dan Burns done well.
But if he was,
Fabian Shaw's the same age. Fabian Shaw's the same age.
I just think we need younger centre half and younger defenders. Like we've got Tino, we've got Lewis Hall. Now the next level to get younger centre half who's going to
play devil's advocate. We've got Sven Botman, who's
I'm just going to say 24. Aye.
But you need some more though. They get injured. You need cover. And
Rome wasn't built.
I've seen my opinion. I like say like.
I know.
He's getting a new contract.
Who?
Yeah, I mean, Paul Chuck this in here. He says, question for the lads. Eddie says, rightly, selling Isak and Bruno would be a step backwards. But what about keeping Dummett and Richie? Is that not a step backwards? I watched Liam Kennedy and the Geordie Journos after the match yesterday, and they were talking about Eddie's press conference, and he was talking about Richie and Dummett actually, and saying that the European, if we get to Europe, it'll determine whether we what we do in the transfer market with the likes of Richie and Dummett. He picked those two out in particular. I mean, George, I can already hear collective groans across the fan base with the names Dummett and Richie being given a new contract. I mean, I'm sitting watching Chris Wood yesterday score his 14th Premier League goal, scored 2 yesterday. I'm wondering why on earth they sold Chris Wood, because I still say Chris Wood would have done the job this season without Isak and Callum Wilson. Games where we needed a big man up front to hold the ball up. People laugh at me. Malcolm McDonald laughs at me every Thursday. But Chris Wood, Anvil would have beaten Forest 1-0.
And I agree with you, because I was a Chris Wood fan, no doubt about that. And the question always is that when is it right to let people go? When is it not right? And the fact is that football has a habit of deciding for you. The gainsayers against Dummett need to shake their heads. I've never seen Paul Dummett play a really bad game for Newcastle United when he's been on. Never less than 7 out of 10. Never less than 7 out of 10. And Matt Ritchie's done a job and could move on, but Dummett could as well. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We need cover, and if the cover's there, the old-fashioned saying is, if it's not broke, don't fix it, So I can see why people are like that, but we've got to have a balance of the squad, and that all hangs together quite nicely for me. The big uns are the ones that people have mentioned. Is Trippier going to be there next year? Wilson wouldn't be there for me next year. He burnt his bridges last week when he went in a huff and had a row with Howe, apparently. That would have been him on the bus out to St James's Park straight away for me. It's building on what we've got. And I said I think it was Friday night, somebody talked about whether or not we're going to sell Bruno and how would it affect the club, and would it be bad? I would think that would be so bad. I can't remember a thing that could happen that would make me think about hiring my season ticket on a fire. And if they sold Bruno, I'm afraid that's probably what I would do, because that sends signals to me that they're talking about him even going to Manchester City, for God's sake. We're trying to beat them. Why sell them our best player? Why sell them our best player? That would be criminal for me. And as I say, that would be one of the things that would make me toss my season ticket on the fire. There's no question about that. And Isak as well would be an absolutely giant step backwards to what's going to happen next year. So
I really find that a big statement. I really do, because I genuinely understand. I would understand if Newcastle were going to spend the money, keep the money, and not was going into the likes of Mike Ashley's back pocket back in the day, or Gordon, what you call him, Gordon McKeague's back pocket, the family silver and all that. But surely, if we do sell a player, and I'm not saying we're going to, But if we sell a player, that money's going to be invested, and it's going to be spent on players to strengthen the team. But I understand there's going to be disappointment. We can't keep all of these players.
No, but we can keep our best ones. And in 70 odd years of supporting Newcastle United, how many times I heard that bloody story? Oh, we'll sell him and we'll get him and have better. Nah, never happens. Never happens.
Ken Robinson and Craig Roxy both say, Dummett did make it faux pas when he came on against Everton, George, by the way. You did say that he never had a bad game. He never let us down, 7 out of 10. People can pick out that game, I guess. Everton, he did cost it 2 points.
If you wanted to go and sit through all the video games, you could find a mistake like that for everybody on the pitch, not just Dummett. But never mind. There needs to be some careful thought about what we're doing this summer. There does, I think Alan said it, others have said it, there does need to be a really serious clear out. There's no question about that. And what's the point of having these young lads like Murphy, the defender, and others sitting around on the bench, polishing the bench, when in fact they should be getting game time if we're really serious about them. And the message that would give to youngsters around the place and thinking they're coming. We've got this young lad, Harrison, that come from Manchester City. Now, I gather he's setting the world on fire off the first team scene. We've got him to come. So there's lots of positive things, but it needs a very sensible sit down and think about what we want. Yes, some of the old ones will have to go. And I wouldn't be adverse to Dan Burn going if the right replacements came in. But there's a lot of hell of a worse centre-halves in the Premiership than Dan Burn, I can tell you. So, yeah, let's. There's got to be a clear out, but it's got to be done very carefully and with a lot of thought. Here's a one for you. Do you think we'll still have the same manager next year?
Yes, we will next year, 100%.
Okay,
100%. But again, that's something to discuss in the summer. Dummett. Dummett and Richie staying. I mean, players going. Darren, we're going to have a lot to talk about in the summer. But yeah, I just want to pick up on the whole Dummett Richie thing that Eddie Howe made. I guess I know what you're going to say here, but if it means that we have to have a homegrown player and we have to give Paul Dummett another year's contract, are you going to be happy or a bit disappointed about that?
I'll be absolutely very disappointed if we keep Paul Dummett and Richie, because they've got to go. The pile of rubbish. They're getting paid a fortune for nothing for the last 2 years. Time to get rid of the old, like Alan said. Get rid of them. They've done the service. Got them wrong. They got a gate. They got a blind. They want to play football. Paul Dummett is I've never rated him. He's not a left back. He's not a centre half. He's a championship player at best. Richie's done his servant. You need to get. Wow. You need to get youth players in, like Harrison on loan. Eddie Howe's got to be brutal this summer. He's got to be ruthless. So yeah, you'll need good jug on. You'll need good jug on. You know what I mean? That's what I do.
Big thanks to Paul for supporting NUFC Matters throughout the season and watching. Hope you're enjoying tonight's episode, Paul. By the way, this is going to be the best. There is some really good people in the chat with names, some which I never pronounced, but this is a great one. Skidmark and Steve Bruce's wife. Probably the best newcomer of the year so far. Good evening. What's all this dumb clap? Eddie Howe's press conference at the end of the game, he just basically said, that he may have to offer new contracts to people like that in a roundabout way. That's what he was saying. That's why we're discussing it. Kev, look, if we need a homegrown player and Dummett gets a new contract, that's the way it's got to be. Because otherwise, it means you go into a European tournament with one member less in the team. You might get a 25-man squad. You've got 24, and surely against the opposition that we're going to be playing in the Europa Conference, should we be lucky enough to get in it? Listen, some of these teams, it's like playing a Sunday morning team in those early rounds. And Newcastle will, ultimately have to spread the workload, especially after the injury list that we had this season. We're going to need to look at it from that perspective, I think. And Spenny sent me this earlier on. I'm just going to get it up on the screen. Sent it today. Potentially, there's the pot that we could end up in. Slaven Bratislava, Istanbul, Başakşehir, Molde, Freiburg, and Malmo. They're potentially is Newcastle's group in the Conference League projected pot. Big name teams in there: Napoli, FC Copenhagen, of course, Real Betis, Ferencvaros, who remembers the Ginola goal, Lens, Utrecht again. Big names in there, and also AK Athens, Shamrock Rovers. Hearts are in there as well, but there's a lot of teams in there which they're probably playing in front of 400, 500 supporters, like your Northern League teams. And ultimately, that's a tournament Newcastle can win. Yes, it's the former Intertoto Cup. That's what it is. And we won that previously. We got to the final and got beat. We then went on to win the final. We won a shield for it. It's now a cup. It's got a bit more significance, but those are the kind of teams we could play. So tell me Paul Dummett couldn't play against them, Kevin, or Matt Ritchie. They could do a job against those teams.
They could, and again, the phrase is a box ticking exercise. If you just look at Man City's squad, just jumping into Man City, look at Scott Carson. He's played 117 minutes and won 11 trophies. So you don't necessarily have to play them. Essentially, you just put them in the squad because you have to have those English homegrown players. Yes, you can build around it and get more players in. Yes, but they can separate themselves from a European squad into a Premier League squad or whatever for the 25 man for the Premier League or whatever it is, and then into the European squad. Then that'll keep them around. Not saying that the world's best players and whatever, they're not going to pull up any trees in the Premier League. But like you said, Steve, in terms of playing against these not lesser opposition, but again in this environment of what we could be playing in, they'll probably do a job for you. So I'm not wanting to discard players just based on, longevity of the service or whatever. I'm not all about that. You've got to have squad depth. You've got to have the good people that have around the dressing room as well. We've got to look at it from that perspective. But again, look, it's not up to us. It's not up to me. It's not up to anybody on this panel. It's up to Eddie Howe and what he wants to do. And he's made that quite clear within his press conference to say what we do, what happens after next week with the FA Cup final will determine what we do in terms of business. So you have to believe in that, So if we do get European football, you can see them staying for a year. Again, like I said, I think we'll do a year. We'll keep you in around the building. I wouldn't give them as much as probably what they're on now. I would probably give them a lesser contract, and then less money,
Kev, less money.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, lesser contract, less money. That's what I meant. Sorry. So a lesser, 1 year deal, but lesser money within that contract, just to be involved and around it. Develop youth players, get their arms around them, being known in the area, all of the above, to progress the club. Then see what happens next year. But it would be, for me, it'd be only 1 year. It wouldn't be excuse me. It wouldn't be another year extension. It wouldn't be another year extension. It would just be, if we get into Europe again because of the pitfalls that we've had this year in Europe with the demands of travel and all the rest of it, then they'll do a job. I mean, I could probably do a job against half of them teams, but at the same time, we'll have to have depth. We'll have to have those in and around the training ground to have positive mindsets and know what it's all about for me. And that's how you build winning mentalities, even if they don't play. So, we'll just see what happens. But, just keep them around 1 more year. I think we can, Matt Ritchie can drive the team bus, and Paul Dummett can clean some boots and put the kid out and help Ray Thompson out. But that's what you need around in a football club. You need people around, good quality people and staff or members in the team to get the best out of players.
Interesting stuff. If you're watching on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter tonight, please consider jumping over to NUFC Matters on YouTube and hitting the subscribe button. We're broadcasting across all the different social medias again tonight, and we've got over 700 watching. So great to have everyone on. And please jump onto the YouTube channel and subscribe. It is free. We do 7 shows a week, even through the close season. Ian, yeah, it's created a bit of a storm, this, which I thought it might, the whole Richie Dummett link. I mean, Richie's coming on to 35. I've always felt Richie would be good on the coaching staff at the very least. The Dummett thing, though, I mean, he's homegrown, and I think, you know, with the European, I think another year's contract wouldn't be a problem. I can't imagine that he's going to be on... I can't imagine he's going to be on huge money, Dummett. He's going to be on good money, but I can't imagine he's on huge money. And if it means that he's a homegrown player and it ticks a box, I guess that's where Eddie Howe was probably coming from at the press conference.
I think Dummett's on 30 grand a week, you know, because I was surprised at that. But I looked last time we discussed this. I think I had a look, and I'm sure it was 30 or 30 odd grand a week.
35, Ian.
It's not bad, is it? It's not bad.
Well, what's that? $750,000 a year or something? I don't know. It's a lot of money, isn't it? You know
for not reading playing.
For not playing football, really, apart from having a practice, you know. I think the only way I would really be 100% behind them both getting new contracts is a bit of everything everyone said. Number one, lesser finance. So if it was a 10 grand a week contract, not a 35 grand a week, then fair enough. I would want for Richie, he's obviously just got his new driving license sorted out, and so like a couple of people have mentioned there, we could have him as the backup coach driver and maybe doing a bit of coaching as well. You know what I mean? Because he drives what he wants, doesn't he? So as the song goes,
Richie's staying 12 more years.
Yeah. He could stay 40 more years if he's driving, couldn't he? You know what I mean? So, but I think he from what I've seen, like obviously you only see the interactions when you watch like the fan cams or whatever it is, or you know like the match cam or whatever it's called, and then when you see the little bits that you see, you know when I don't know whether you remember when he had his arm round Gordon's shoulder when Gordon smacked the dummy out, you know, at the end of the match that time when he got took off and he wasn't happy, and Richie had him and he had his arm round him, he was walking him around at the end of the game and that. And little things like that, you think he's a really good influence on younger players. So I could see him having more of a coaching role and getting a new contract. Other than that, he's not much use really for me. You know, so if you want to make that a player-coach role, give him a lesser contract, then yeah. He's still got the skills. Someone said there he's really good on that football, that you know, the foot table thing that they play. He is class on that because he doesn't have to run anywhere. You know what I mean? He's only got to go 2 yards. That's why he's good at that. And Dummett ticks a box for the homegrown status, but again, there's probably kids that would come in and, you know, the likes of Alex Murphy, for me, he's just going to offer more at left back or centre back next season than Dummett. So does that answer the question? I don't know whether it does. I think it does.
No, it does. Listen, it's all about opinions. Spenny says it doesn't answer the question. Spenny, can you answer the question?
The question I've got, and the answer will be, I will give them pay-as-you-play contracts, the same as what they give Andy Carroll. I wouldn't give them any wage. I would just say, if you want to play, you want to come on the parents, you get paid.
They'll be putting the chits in from the fuel from Darren.
He had a basic, didn't he? He had 20 grand a week basic, Andy Carroll, and then got a bonus if he played, and a bonus if he scored a goal. But we're not in the Mike Ashley era now, are we?
No, but 0 hours like Mark Ashley, yeah.
Yeah.
For me, that's what I would give him. I can't remember what I was saying because I was interrupted by you there.
All right, okay. Well, you were just saying that you'd pay as the play. That's what you were saying. It's a simple suggestion.
Pay as you play. And going back to George about Bruno and Mizik, there's no way, and on God's earth, this club will sell them though. There's no chance. We're a different club now, with different ownership. There's no chance that Newcastle will sell them. You don't be buying players like that to get in the team. I have no worries that we won't sell them this season. For me, they'll be in there next season. And we got a new signing on next season, haven't we? Got Tyne coming back. So I'm looking forward to that season.
Okay, Alan, what's your views on Richie and Dummett potentially staying?
Well, in an ideal world, I totally agree with what Darren just said before. In an ideal world, but it's not an ideal world, Darren. I would love to.
But it needs to be though. It needs to be. You've got these Alex, these little Miles brothers. they're going to offer more than what them two are in the near future. People are saying you want to bring your youth players through. That's a tournament ideal for them. So what's the point playing old people? What we know?
Oh, don't use the old people card.
Well, you've got to realise.
I'll get me quote now, will I?
Poor George.
The old people, the old players, you dumb it.
You've got to realise as well, though, Darren. You've got to have that harmony in the squad, and what like Kevin mentioned.
Harmony,
the bingo callers, right? Third oldest team in the Premier League, Newcastle. There you go.
Well, I agree with you, Spenny. I would, in an ideal world, I would get rid of all of them, but it won't happen. He's got to have a balancing act. And one thing I would pick up on what you showed you the teams, Stephen, that we might face in the conference. Aston Villa had the same attitude. It's going to be a walkover, and look at what happened to them. Olympiacos had a week off, where the Premier League won't allow us to have a week off before we play in the semi-final. But that's what they had. Olympiacos a week off before they played Aston Villa, and they outplayed them both legs. So if people think it's just going to be a walk in the park, I think again, it's going to be early rounds. I agree. It could be a walk in the park, but later in the rounds, there's some good names there, and it won't be a walk in the park. So you've got to treat a European trophy like West Ham showed. If you get it right, you can win it. It'll be a great flip because we need a European trophy and we need to win something. So it's not initially a couple of years ago, I think a lot of people poke fun at the Europa Conference League, but not now because it leads you into Europa League the next year if you win it.
Yeah.
And there's 5 teams, there's 8 teams genuinely fighting for the top 4 places now in the Premier League. And it's going to be really tough to get in the top 4. That's what I want for next year, top 4. But it's going to be almighty tough, and especially if we're playing Europe as well. So you're going to have the Dummett and Ritchie players. Maybe he's hanging around another year. I don't want it, but I think Eddie Howe's got to have a fine balance in that. Are these younger players ready to step up to the mark in these games? And he's got to decide that, and that's what he gets paid for. But regarding your question, George, Howe should stay 100%. I want him here a lot longer, but it's whether the fans, because there's still some fans want Eddie Howe out, or the owners want him to stay. Because going into the future, Steve, maybe his future shows going forward, if Eddie Howe gets with the same position next year, no trophy, will the fans be sure and the owners be accepting that? This year has been respectable, but give him another year, and a lot of fans will not want Eddie Howe here. So I think he's in a dilemma.
I disagree with that, Alan. I disagree. It's going to be a 5-10 year plan. You said that you can't just sack him because he finished 7th. The league's getting harder and harder every year.
Something to talk about anyway, haven't we?
Oh, listen. There's no doubt about it. Barry, I'm going to let you finish up on the whole Dummett Ritchie situation. No, Alan. Listen, it's great. It's great to have opinions, and I think I've just proved it to you on this show tonight. There's plenty to talk about this summer. Don't worry about that. Barry, what's your thoughts then on Dummett and Ritchie? I mean, again, just crediting the Geordie journos who did the post-match conference and then put out that piece at Brentford outside the G-Tech yesterday. They more or less, they were talking about this. That's why I wanted to discuss it tonight. Skip Mark says build the project around Dummett and Ritchie and bring Chris Wood back. But yeah, I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Barry? On potentially those two, staying at the club for one more year at least?
I'm edging towards what Darren said. I mean, for me, it's a bit like Steve Harper. I couldn't understand why Harper stayed as long as he did at Newcastle. As a footballer, with the length of career that you've got, you should be wanting to play. Not. It shouldn't all be about the money they get. I mean, they're on decent wages and have been for a substantial period of time. I can't understand why 2 footballers of reasonable ability. I like Dummett. I think he's a good player. Why he doesn't want to go somewhere and actually play football? Yeah. I was quickly totting up there. If we manage to get rid of Dummett, Ritchie, Hendricks, and Fraser, that's That's nearly 700 grand a month.
Jamal Lewis as well.
All goes towards your PFP.
Well, that's it.
Doesn't it, Barry?
It comes
Your
up to
public
180
wages.
grand a week, and you think that is the sort of money that Bruno's on, and you think, well, what are we doing? I can't get it, Steve. I like both of them. Don't get us wrong, but why don't they want to play? Why don't they go somewhere where they can actually get a game? They both could still do a job somewhere. They've proved that when they have come on for Newcastle. I don't get stupid players. Somebody said in the chat there about Gillespie's on 10 grand a week, and he's played how many games in the last 4 or 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
He's a footballer. Why
you know what I would do? I'll send him to Sunderland and get him relegated division in League One.
The thing is, he'd do a decent job for Sunderland. Both of them would.
Yeah,
that's what I mean. Does a bad job, get them relegated.
No, I think it's time for them to go. I think it's. Yeah. I can understand if they wanted to quit and they wanted to go into coaching, but playing wise, I agree with Darren that there's young ones coming through and they're blocking their way through into the team or blocking their way into the squad.
Barry, what's the lift up to now? Have you got a rough
it's up
number?
to 85, Steve.
85. There we go.
85 this morning.
85 players linked with Newcastle so far, and as we'll finish as well. Now that Sky's running the story, Ross Barkley. Listen. Had a great season at Luton. Going to Aston Villa on a 4-year contract, allegedly. That's crazy. That is crazy. So we're going to have a busy transfer window. Lads.
But that's a reflection of Villa's European money.
Stupidity.
No, but it's a reflection of how desperate Villa are because of the
PSR rules.
Yeah, the PSR rules. Yeah. They are in danger of selling their top players because of the mess they're in.
Yeah.
What competition? Quick competition. Whoever gets the right transfers this season, who gets transferred to Newcastle, wins the door of Barry.
That's a great idea. As long as you can get it to us, get it to us in time for the winter when I've got to slide down the bank, Barry.
Second prize, 2 doors, is it?
Great stuff, lads. Thanks to Kev, thanks to Alan, to Spenny, to Ian, to Barry, to Darren, and to George. Thanks to you and all the mods, as always. Back tomorrow night. Geordie's here. Geordie's there. Is Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. Wednesday is pre-recorded Talk of the Tune. Thursday, Super Matt and Gibbo. Friday, the Three Amigos. But thanks, everybody, for joining us, and take care. See you soon, lads.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers, lads.